Good day and good evening, and welcome to Relic Weapon Quest stream with me, Chaiji, but you can just call me Kai. So, today is patch day. There is a new step in the Relic quest line. I have been keeping up to date with discoveries. In fact, we have had some people in the community Discord doing some research on the epic grinding strats. Let me put it like this: I've grabbed my regular dailies team, you could say, because first of all, that'll make things a little bit faster. But second of all, it's really cursed, so I wouldn't want to drag just about anyone along for that. That would really suck. However, there's enough people that are just here that there could be an additional group already. So, the explanation for the new Relic quest, as far as I know now, is... So the first step, you'll talk with Gerald, of course. Well, actually, you'll talk to the guy next to Gerald. And you need these 4 items. This item is bought at a vendor in Tuliholol. Right here. This one, I believe it's straight up just called Merchant. Costs 500k gil. Don't buy it from the market board. Don't do that. Unless, of course, they undercut it for some reason. I saw that one sold for 1 gil earlier. Really funny. And then you need these 3 items, which are made from the most recent gathered materials, and does actually require that your crafter is up to date. Milo made these for me. Very nice. So we have these. You can also just buy them. Just right when the servers opened, some people said that they were 4 million gil a pop. About an hour later, they were like somewhere between 500 and 700,000. An hour later, they're like 200,000. I think right now they're like starting to stabilize on Louis Soir for around 200,000 thereabouts. They might drop further, but let's just say that they are in a price range where I would say that if Milo wasn't there, just to be clear, I paid Milo. Rather, I chose to give Milo a big tip because it's only fair. I have the money. I could afford to just buy them, but I'd rather give the money to a friend than buy it off a stranger, right? Once these items are handed in, it's going to be really weird for Gerald. He's like, I'm going to need these items. And like, oh, that's really funny coincidence. Oh, wow. And then the next step, he will ask for 100 paste. Now, the important thing that isn't told to you is that when you hand those in, he will then ask for 200 paste, and then 300 paste, and then 600 paste. Just gradually building. You'll get an item that you can use that will tell you what duties give paste. And as long as you do the duty, it gives paste. A combined 1,200 paste in total. The item will show you what duties will give paste, and they will give paste even if you're not max level, even if you're the wrong job. Doesn't matter, as long as you do the duty in the way that the item tells you to do it, it counts. And different duties give different amounts. For instance, we've discovered that Savage Raids, M9S gives 10, 11 and 10 and 11 gives 11, and M12S gives 18. Just as an example. But more importantly, Leveling Roulette gives 20. And there's a little bit of a cheese trick to it, because, as it turns out, only that, Dusk Vigil technically has an item level requirement. But Aurum Vale does not. Which means that if you switch to a loadout like this, you can only land in a Realm Reborn leveling dungeons. Which includes things like Ifrit Normal, And most of the A Realm Reborn leveling dungeons are really fast. So the game plan is basically you switch to a gear set like this, you queue, then you switch back to your normal gear set, and it should put you in A Realm Reborn leveling dungeon. And that should be possibly the fastest way, unless there's a particular grind you can do where you have a little bit more control. The particular weakness of this method is that it is random what duty you get. So you could find yourself in a longer duty than Ifrit normal. You probably will land in a harder duty, like a longer duty than Ifrit normal on average. But because you can control this, you can choose that, and leveling gives the most paste of all of them. And because you need some number that is divisible by 20, it means that it also optimizes the amount of duties you need, because if you do, if you hit 100 paste by doing a duty that gets you past 100, the amount you go past will be lost. Could be, Zaf. Could be. It is every time you do it, Agent Monaco. That is the trick. You just spam. Milo says it will not be lost. Oh, okay. I was told that you wouldn't get it. But that's how quick the story changes, I suppose. Thank you. Anyway, on that note, with the important info out of the way, hey Telma, hey Falca, hey Fupoof, hey Zaf, hey Teenly, hey Bovomet, hey Lana, hey Surveillance Burp, hey Saras, hey Agent Monica, hey Rust, hey Ardell, hey Naomi, hey Nox, hey Matthew, hey Kaj, hey Tremea, hey Silly, hey Alpha, hey Sip, hey Stainless, hey Necrophits, hey Milo, hey Louis, Raziel Louis, it's been a while. And hey Tung, hey Gossel, hey Joshua, hey Yves, and hey Shackman. Hope you're all doing very well. Right. But yeah, my suggestion there, Necrophits, is if you simply, dip from the stream for, I don't know, like 10 minutes or something, you will probably miss the, when it comes to that, you will probably miss the potential spoiler that you don't want, that you want to miss. I won't be, be lingering on that. Now, good to see you. That weapon of yours treating you well? I'm not using it. Glad to hear it. Me and the crew might not be cut out for the fires of battle, but equipment an upstanding adventure like yourself is its own reward. Any road, I'm keen to get your phantom weapon in hands again, but Jolt ain't up to the task just yet. That's not to say he's gotten work shy mind. The bugger seems to be giving the whole endeavor some thought. I'm sure he'll tell you what he's been scheming at any rate. Right. Just the last I wanted to see. It's time we spoke about elevating that weapon of yours. After mastering that ancient technique from the archive stone tablet, I've been itching to expand repertoire and transform your weapon into something truly frightening. But if we start tinkering without our vision in mind, the progress we made will vanish into thin air like some bloody conjurer's trick. Which is what... Conjurer's trick? Which is why I've got the expedition's archaeologists scouring the records for the perfect technique. Hey Caitlin, hope you're doing well. And that's been a bit. Let's see how she's getting on, but I've had more than a sip or two of rum to pass the time. Don't reckon I can stomach much in the way of long-winded explanations and technical jargon right now. Oh, actually, let me just pause there for a second. Raziel Louis says that they have an additional set of the quest items in case anyone needs them. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. Seeing how it concerns your weapon, I figured you could go in instead. She's hold up in that building past the stairs to the west. Oh boy! Your name has changed because they have decided to make it so that your @ is the visible thing in stream chat instead of your chosen name. You can change that. As in, you can change your @
Ah, you must be Caetsu. If you're here regarding Gerald's request, I've just now finished collating my findings with some invaluable insight from the archive I might had. I've identified 3 promising methods of enhancement that may prove compatible with your phantom weapon. The first is a scaling technique known as hex carving. Next, we have Karnak Forgecraft, a method for imbuing arcane armaments that originates from the self-same city. And last but not least, Mahachi technique of etheric conversion. I'd be delighted to provide a brief summary should any of those have piqued your interest.
hex carving.
The ruins of ancient Scala were hewn from the dense stone common to Giovannia. While the material's durability is second to none, this very property makes it difficult to manipulate. Thus was the technique known as hex carving conceived. Using hammers enhanced with a panoply of hexes, Scalic stonemasons could elicit structural changes within the materials they worked with. I dare say the same principle would also apply to a phantom weapon, allowing for its complete reconfiguration.
Well, that explains why it would change completely. Karnak Forgecraft.
Are you by any chance familiar with the fabled warriors of Karnak and the fearsome arcane weapons they utilized? In a compositional sense, their blades were perfectly neutral, designed to be subsequently enhanced with all manner of chimerical powers. To achieve this, artisans made use of unexpected crystals during the smithing process. Gerald could replicate this method to enhance your phantom weapon and modify its aspect in one fell swoop. Certainly worth considering, in this scholar's humble opinion.
Etheric conversion.
A most curious technique, one that requires all due caution, owing to its bizarre nature and terrific potency. If the description is to be believed, its inventor was inspired by the very principle of etheric infusion that elevated your weapon to its current form. They sought to further amplify the effect by manipulating the ether imbued during the process. It is much to my chagrin that I cannot tell you more, so degraded was the stone tablet bearing the inscription. From what I could glean, however, the technique involves imbuing a tool rather than the weapon itself. For blessing, the required materials and overall procedure were perfectly legible, though the same cannot be said for the section regarding the final outcome. I took the liberty of compiling a few notes, just in case you wish to refer to the finer details at any point.
Oh, thanks. Hope you're doing well.
Doubtless you'll wish to consult with Gerald before choosing a method to replicate. May your endeavors bear fruit.
In before, we have to do all of them and none of them work or something. Or you need all of them. You must be back from seeing the archaeologist. Did she turn up anything worthwhile? She turned up a lot of things. Hex carving, huh? Ah, all well and good if you're looking to knock lumps out of stone, but it'd never work with a complex creation like your phantom weapon. Karnak Forgecraft's no good either. What we're trying to do is forge a weapon with a bite of its own, not some lifeless set piece to dress up with magical bells and whistles. Oh. Etheric conversion, on the other hand, now that sounds promising. Hey! After all, you won't find a technique more compatible with etheric infusion than one inspired by it. As soon as we get me hammer enhanced, I'll have your weapon honed to even deadlier perfection. But
There's bits missing from the inscription. A few too many unknowns for my liking. Bah, as long as I know what materials I need and what I'm doing with them, we'll be fine. Besides, we've faced narrower odds than this before, ain't we? I say we roll the bleeding dice. Huh. Your knack for stoking Gel's file never ceased to amaze me. Might I ask what is required to replicate this technique? Perhaps you took some notes during your meeting with the archaeologist?
No, she took some notes, actually.
Looks like we'll require some umbral clay, a lump of expected ether agglomerate, a lump of expected etheroconductor, and a lump of expected etherocatalyst. And as you've doubtless already anticipated, vast quantities of ether. Rest assured that the ether collection shall not fall to you. With enough time, we can gather sufficient quantities on the isle by ourselves. All I ask is that you procure the 4 ingredients I just mentioned. Unfortunately, the notes didn't specify where and how one might do so, but I believe umbral clay is widely traded in Tyrol. How convenient. You're sure to find what you need in the markets of Tuliholol. As for the aspect additives, a seasoned artisan should be able to craft them, though I'd wager they too can be bought for the right price. Once you deliver the requisite items to Gerald, we shall be ready to replicate the etheric conversion process and enhance his hammer.
Details on obtaining each ingredient note in your journal. Fantastic. To your question, Fupoof, for tanks, I would say Gunbreaker's probably your best bet. Because they're really strong in, like, the very low levels. And they're really strong in, like, I think... like Samael and Ormvale, because they have Aurora. And the duties in between with its particular high points, it's still very strong, and whatever job would beat it is only marginally better. For DPS, ranged physical is what you should be looking at. Because you might get Sastasha, and then, like, casters have AoE, but they won't be able to keep up while doing it. So Bard, Dancer, Machinist, Dancer in particular, thanks to standard finish. For healers, I mean, anyone would do. Astrologian and Scholar tends to be particularly strong. Sage is also pretty solid. But if you have a full pre-made, you could just have a Summoner be your healer. Because ultimately you just need someone who can cast a healing spell. And maybe a Res. That's ultimately what you need. So we're going with, like, our team is going to be Gunbreaker, Bard, Dancer, and Summoner. And we might change the Summoner to a healer if it turns out that's more convenient for us. Find the ingredients I need, you hear? Find the ingredients I need, you hear? Me hammer won't enhance itself. This curious clay is an essential ingredient in the etheric conversion process. Oh, thanks. A coagulated mass of aspected ether required to enhance a phantom weapon via etheric conversion. Okay, fantastic. Yep, okay, that's what they all say. That'll do the job. While you were rooting about the markets, we filled up an empty ether well in preparation. Reckon I've earned a quick snifter of rum for all the hard work. I'll get cracked once we wet my whistle. All the hard work, you didn't move. Hand over the notes, would you? Says here I've got to arrange the components on the ground and check the surroundings are safe and secure. Bleeding dubious, if you ask me. Well, it'd be a pain in the ass if anything happened to the ether well, so I'll set up shop in this big old building. Sit tight, alright? How's it, cat? Hope you're doing well. Sorry to keep you waiting. Oh. Oh no. What the bloody hell is that? Ain't got a clue.
It's quite obviously a void scent. How and why did it get here?
Listen, I just followed the instructions. Knead the umbral clay into a pliable state, then shape the mass while combining it with the aspect additives. Next, infuse the form with life-giving ether. After that, I just recited the words at the end of the note. And the next thing I knew, this little bug was staring back at me. Hey Panda, hope you're doing well.
A truly masterful summoning. Bravo!
Ha! These gods-given hands even work wonders with a lump of bleeding clay.
The instructions didn't bear any obvious relation to the summoning of void scent. No doubt that would have been apparent with the missing information to hand.
Was this really supposed to happen? Afraid I don't see the connection between that puddle of gubbins and phantom weaponry.
Arr?
Oh, I just remembered. I also speak English. Where's this? Who am I?
Judging by your physical appearance, I believe you might be a species of void scent known as hectai in the common tongue.
You are wrong. I was not so feeble of frame. Well, that body of yours is just what I cobbled together from the clay and whatnot. I'm guessing your real form is something else entirely.
Come to think of it, I recall hearing that summoned void scent require an appropriate vessel if they're to function effectively in this world. Perhaps your clay construction is unsuitable for this particular creature, thus limiting its power.
Oh, how do we know what kind of vessel the bleeding thing needs if we don't know its proper form?
I can't remember.
Just our bloody luck.
This is unpleasant. I want to go home.
Wait, if you bugger off, we're back to square one!
If you need my services, I demand ether. Much ether.
Let's form a pact!
Hey, Stav and Jeff Boy, hope you're doing well. I actually explained the strategy I'm gonna use at the start of the stream, if you like. I'll also demonstrate it once we get there.
Or I said your ether. Sweet ether! With you, I will deal. Once my power flows, I will aid you. If this really is part of the process, we'll have to help the little bugger unleash their true power before we even think of enhancing Gerald's armor. Either way, glad to have you on board again.
Sarah, me at work. This is unpleasant. I want to go home.
Right, Matthew?
Let's form a pact with the void scent. That's how it works, right? It's like Dragon Mo. Hope you're doing well.
You think the little bugger can't use their full power because the vessel's not up to scratch, right? Does that mean we ought to remake it to match their true form?
The closer the representation, the better, but it needn't be identical. A vessel is merely a temporary conduit for the summoned creature, after all. I had hands and feet. That's all I can recall, for now, on account of this vessel not having a brain, or something. Preparing a more suitable vessel may well help restore your memories. meaning we must extract more information to better mold an ideal form. It may require several iterations, but I'm positive we can succeed.
Now that explains why it's in waves. If we're remaking it anyway, I'd mind to work some crystal paste into the mixture. It's clay containing a specific portion of pulverized crystal, and with it, plenty of ether. Reckon that ought to improve the bond between the bugger and the vessel. And where are we gonna get all of this crystal paste? It's easy enough to come across, especially on old battlefields and in places that have seen combat. 100 portions of this stuff should do the trick. Sounds like more bleeding busy work.
Hey Kiwi, hope you're doing well as well. And thank you. I will join you. We have a pact. The journey may help me remember.
You best take this. Looks familiar, eh? That's the phantom glass. You can use it to keep track of how much paste is required for me making the vessel.
Thanks.
Just like Dodokuli said, this will likely take a few tries before we get the vessel right. And that means I'll need you to gather multiple batches of paste. Bruh. Just how many batches that proves to be, we'll soon find out.
To enhance Jolt's hammer and imbue your phantom weapon with greater power, you will need to avail yourself of the summoned Void Sense strength. Because the creature's capabilities are currently limited, however, its vessel must be built anew. The greater its attunement to said vessel, the greater its power will grow. The crystal paste Jolt requires for this task can be obtained by completing various duties. On the Occult Crescent South Horn, crystal paste can be obtained from critical encounters, excluding the Fork Tower Blood. You may use the Phantom Glass to gauge your progress and confirm which duties crystal paste can be obtained from. Please note that the current quest cannot be abandoned. Yep. And that item is here. So, to clarify something, because this was something I asked myself, it does not have to be the daily. It just has to be the roulette, just like with the previous relic step. You can spam them to your heart's content, but it has to be the roulette for these. This, it mentioned, this, I have been made aware that Pilgrim's Traverse gives increasingly more paste at higher floors. Someone mentioned floor 70, I believe, gives 26 paste. I've been aware that these four, specifically the Savage versions, increase. Like the first one is 10, then 11, 11, and then 18. But I mean, that's a weird way to farm this, I think. Hell on Rails also gives some, but I don't know how much. And Fates, I've been told, gives a range amount. Reported they give 3, 6, varies a bit. However, our research suggests that the best strategy, from what we can tell, unless some even crazier strategy comes about, is simply to spam duty roulette leveling. Just duty roulette leveling. Because it gives 20 a pop. Now, there is one particular trick to this that explains why you'd want to do leveling and not something like expert. The trick is that, as I explained earlier, only a Realm Reborn leveling dungeons do not have an item level requirement. Oh, sure. We can use that. Thank you, Sally. Sally gave me this. So this is apparently the numbers that we have exactly. So expert and level cap gives 15 a pop, leveling gives 20, and then we have all the other numbers here as well.
Now, the trick with leveling, as I was about to say, is that you can switch your gear to something like this. And now, yes, Ellie, can you post it in the community Discord as well? Now you should only be, even though it shows this, because we are in a full pre-made, I should only be able to land in the highest possible duty should be Aurum Vale. And the way it's done is you simply equip this, Q, and switch back. It is actually important that your weapon is also garbage. Because if you have a really good weapon, your item level might be high enough to make you eligible for something like Dusk Vigil. And while that's not a problem, the big value here, like the value trade, is if you get Ifrit normal. That's the big one. Like that's the giga value one. I will, however, say, and Stainless already mentioned this. If you need mathematics tomestones, you may want to farm this differently. The reason why my team here is just gonna spam leveling is because, I mean, we will need 1,500 tomestones, but we could do the first 3 steps of this quest and still need enough paste that we could just spam expert roulette for the last bit and still overcap on mathematics. So there's just no need to worry about that. Like, we will need so many runs that unless you have something else you want to spend mathematics on, you're going to overcap. And then maybe the time saved might be more worth it. But it's really important. It's really important that that you don't overcap, I guess. But also really important that there are options. Do it the way you like. The only reason why we're going to do leveling is because we're going to try and do it quickly. If you just want to have fun, the whole point of giving you options is that you can choose how you want to do it. Right? Right then, let me just see here. Grab this. Grab this. Hey Louis, and Enmity, and Relka, and Brontom, and Bobblers. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, basically the problem is that you need a ludicrous amount of paste. So it will you will not be hurting for mathematics. Also, thank you for the Prime, Stainless. Put that over there. So much paste! So much powder! So hey, Vishaw, hope you're doing well. Right, let's see if this then works. Hey! I mean, this was basically one step removed from literally the plan. Erdl has the note. Blue. Yeah, you do, Stainless. It's just named slightly differently. ADPS, hope you're doing well. No, the best way is not to spam Sastasha. The best way is to spam a Realm Reborn leveling roulettes, essentially. The best way is if we could choose, we'd be doing Ifrit normal 60 times in a row. That would be the actual best result, which is very cursed. Oh boy. Thank you for celebrating 27 months as part of the Cult of the Pink, Milo. That's crazy. Symmetry law of raids. Ah, yes, the classic. Left side is assignment, right side is vibes. Potatoes do not. Potatoes do. Potatoes do not. Is assignment. Cat is vibes. Indeed. It very well might be, Philippe. Nino Daro says, can you control which ones you get by having gear of specific item level and enabling the limited leveling roulette setting? You cannot do it by using the limited leveling roulette setting. The limited leveling roulette only looks at your level. But if you basically take off all your gear and replace your weapon with a garbage one, then you can force it to be only a Realm Reborn leveling roulette. Which is how we ended up here. Which is also what I'm doing. I'm the one with the garbage gear set. And yeah, I have a feeling that Mentor Roulette is going to be interesting this week. What do you guys think? I have a feeling when we get dungeons, it might be better to have an actual healer. Just based on how much healing Sip ends up needing. I should have finished the combo there, I think. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh dear. Eh. Epic damage rotation. Hey, 20. Should we... what do you feel, Nox? Do you think that it might make better sense to just have an actual healer? About 6 minutes. Oh, in that case, we just go again. Oh, whoops. I forgot to change my gear. Now we'll get a real dungeon, guys. Nope, apparently not. Look, you don't even need the cheese. You can skip the bets. we don't even need the cheese. Yeah, you always need, that's true, Ardell. We always need cheese. The problem, Necrophytes, is that Scholar's own like instant attack damage is kind of bad at like super low level because you have Bio 1. This is gonna be scary. Ugh. Yeah. That is also what I like. Part of what I was thinking when I was asking if we should have a real healer job, because it really comes down to like how many Gs it is. Uh-oh. How did Sip not die there? Oh, never mind. He died there. He was down to 11 HP. But it might end up being a situation where... Yeah, Physic not healing much. The strategy might be more effective if you have a little bit of mind. Looks like a use case for the tenacity set. I guess so. You got the mighty summoner's Physic. I have a feeling, just based on what we've been, like, on the limitations we have, that if we had a healer, we would have been able to pull bigger initially. Which could have saved time. So I'm wondering if it would save more time to just have a real healer job. Yeah, Ast would be a good. It would be solid. My point of reference here being, you can pull everything and the first boss if you have a healer. That is strange, Lana. You sure you had the gear off? Had the gear as needed? Get 4k HP. I guess we'll see because we're going to be spamming it. It's really unlikely that we won't run into the same issue if it can happen. I think we can just kill the boss. The kiting is very effective, I'll tell you that. Just the very long hallway style. Hey Seraph, hope you're doing well. I really hope I didn't just kill Sip here. Hey Obi, hope you're doing well. By the way, really helpful. If the boss does something scary, you can stun it. But scary, something like, you know, a raid wide spell or something. Yeah, you can. For some reason, that guy's stunnable. The first boss is also stunnable. nice. Yeah, I feel like Astrologian healer might be a better, safer strategy than Summoner. Sibu coming out? two Astrologians would be a little crazy on the healing front. Don't think we need that. But, double the cards. Yes. Duty where Astrologian does not have cards. Bruh. Hey, Telema. Have a good evening. Technically, you could continue all the way into the boss room here with the pull if you wanted to. Thanks, Dance. Oops. How did we not notice that? Astrologian is considered ranged, yes. Whether it boosts, the amount it boosts Valka is based on what the job is considered, not what they attack with. Could Red Mage do what, Kadoosh? As a Pokogana, hope you're doing well. Could Red Mage do what? It's like a meat grinder. Hey, weird cat. Hope you're doing well. It's going decently well. But it turns out that it's a pretty long grind. Jeff says, what is your opinion in this relic step? I mean, it's really early for me, but in regards to what it boils down to, I will say that it's one of those things where the design of it is like, you can do whatever you want. You have lots of options, but you know that a large portion of the player base will go, what's the most effective way to do it? And just do that. I would also say, again, that I think a lot of people would be more likely to pick something more reasonable if you could, like... I'm going to assume that you can that you need to buy 3 times an item, 500 tomestones a pop, just like the previous steps. If you could buy those items during this step, then I think a lot of players would be a lot more willing to just go, I'll get there eventually. Like, sure, I have like 12 ores by the time that I'm done. That's okay, it doesn't matter. But because you can't actually buy that until you've like reached that point, you may feel very compelled to finish quickly. So that is one thing that I wish they had reviewed and done something about. Because it's a problem we ran into for every step so far. I'm perfectly aware that like story-wise, it makes no sense. But it would be nice. Why do I have to sit in the corner for 30 minutes, Iris? Alright, Tremere. Hope we get well soon. Caduce, if you meant could Red Mage do it as the healer replacement, in this level range, Red Mage doesn't have anything to heal with. Oh. Yeah, oops. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that has done that then. Oh! Observe, guys! It's not reliable. There you go. I had the gear on. Oh, whoops. I forgot dance partner. Well, you know what? That might be for the best. I wonder if it's if what we've observed today is just that leveling roulette is incredibly likely to give our Realm Reborn dungeons. Ivis says that should not work. I mean, I just want you to know, Ivis, that I checked my duty list. And it said that I could queue for all these dungeons. And you can rewind the tape. You saw me change gear. So I didn't do it wrong. I even stayed in my bad gear until we were in the duty. Let's use this extra time to remember that one Reaper from when you were last here. You know, Necrophits, I was reviewing the footage of that just earlier today. The Reaper, just doing 1, 2, 3s and moving a lot, took so much attention that no one noticed that the Black Mage wasn't using Blizzard 4 or Freeze. Hey, mister. Hope you're doing well. Oh, he's cleaving on the inside. Oh! Maybe everyone has to do it? That shouldn't be the case. But that might be worth exploring. If it says when we were doing our big testing, everyone did it. Well, that might be it then. That's still weird. That it would come... that they're like, no, it's fine if at least one person is geared enough. Isn't it? Isn't that strange? Yeah, I was exactly thinking that it is possible that because it's a pre-made, the situation is a little different. The reliable way is to grab a low-level player. That would probably work, yeah. Another way... Another thing that might be worth doing is if everyone has bad gear on. That would probably make it more reliable. But it might not. It would be worth testing, I feel. The best part is that it was even Vanguard. Like, it's Vanguard is like, has just become the like, all right guys, it's party time. Back on it. Duty. I see Nox mentioned wanting the hat that just dropped. I mean, if this can happen, it's probably a good idea to bring a healer. There isn't another pack around the corner, man. But yeah, one way would be if your party has anyone who needs to level a job from like around the Born levels anyway, then you don't even have to do any cheese. You're just legitimately queuing leveling roulette. But then you wouldn't have necessarily the optimal jobs for it. How does enmity work now? That's a random question. When you do 1 point of damage, you generate 1 point of enmity to the enemy. Or you generate 1 point of enmity for that enemy towards you. If you have a tank stance on, then that multiplies that that number by 10. If it is healing, if you're healing, then you instead do, for every 1 point of healing you did, whoops, apparently that counted as moving. If it is healing, then every point of healing you do to someone who's in combat with something, you generate approximately half a point of enmity. And that half a point of enmity is then distributed equally between all of the enemies that you are in combat. Rather, the target is in combat with towards you. Good luck, Zav. And the reason why I say approximately is because a lot of healing actions have some sort of multiplier that means that. I think, for instance, Benediction has a lower enmity multiplier than that. But exactly how much, I couldn't possibly say. Deadman says, any idea what Bahamut does to enmity? Bahamut generates one point of enmity when you summon him. 1. I think there's a possibility, I can't recall, that he generates enmity when he attacks. In the same way an attack you do would generate enmity. But summoning Bahamut generates 1 point of enmity. Yes, seriously. We've tested this on stream. And yes, indeed, Bloodfest is also 1 point of enmity. Is turning on tank stance 1 point of enmity? No. Turning on tank stance generates buff enmity. For some reason, specifically tank stance applies the effect of tank stance multiplying the enmity you generate by 10, and then it applies buff enmity. Buff enmity is not 0, but it's not a lot. It does scale with level, I believe, but it's very little, to the point that if you're doing like a guild test, you can spam toggle your tank stance just on and off and on and off to like radiate AoE enmity. However, the amount of enmity you generate that way is so low that if other people are attacking the enemies you're trying to aggro, it will not work. Like, they will eventually overtake you. But it does work to hold aggro on something that no one is attacking. And yeah, exactly, Necrofits. The reason why Peloton can sometimes draw aggro is because it generates buff enmity. Like, essentially, buff enmity is there so that you can't, like, help someone from the sidelines and just not draw aggro. It makes sense that it would, like, catch, like, the attention of the enemy if you start healing someone. That's why healing enmity exists, and buffing them would, of course, catch their attention as well. It makes sense, but to quantify exactly how much attention is difficult. I'm very curious if it takes him over 10 seconds to get ready. Okay, fantastic. And also, like, just an additional little aside here. The step 1 combos that tanks have, they have somewhere between a 2 to 3 multiplier. Most of them is a 3 times multiplier. Exactly. Bruh. My finishing move timed out. Hey, Zildanis. Hope you're doing well. The information we have is that the most effective way to farm it is probably spamming Leveling Roulette. We're trying to figure out exactly how to guarantee that you land in a low-level duty. As you can see, this is not a low-level duty. But that would be what makes it the most effective. I mean, essentially, you do something to try and guarantee that you land in a low-level duty, and then you choose a group composition that is really strong in low-level duties. Hey, Lamiste, hope you're doing well. It's collecting paste! Like that. A minion. Okay, so that means that the thing we should review... Oh, Cat is here. I guess we should see... Is there multiple steps this time around? The first step, you have to craft some things, or buy them. And you also need to buy an item a bit like last time. And then there are 4 steps of this that gradually increases in amount. But what we should do then, if we want to test this a bit more, is we should try and get everyone in no gear and a garbage weapon. Hey Paul, hope you're doing well. Which basically that means you'd need to have like a low level weapon on you, or you can get one. The easy one I've seen, like, I mean, like a starting weapon for something like Astrologian should do, or Bard. But for a job like Gunbreaker, you would probably need to, if you'd want to be sure, you could buy a level 1 weapon. I believe there's a few options, one of them being their wolf collar weapons. And then you basically just need to have a set that has nothing except that weapon equipped. Aren't relic replicas usually glam eye level? I think so. Grand Company weapons? Or ironworks? See, Rilka? Break the bank with Figmental. I mean, you could do that. And yeah, exactly, Starzak. The reason why it didn't work for us, I think, is because we're a pre-made, so we'd all need to be not qualified for high-level duty for it to be reliable. The low-level roulette isn't queued to the isn't tied to the bonus? No. They're just saying you can do this. Okay. But yeah, basically, you don't have to be completely without equipment, but switching to just glam. The problem is you have limited leveling roulette on. No, I don't, Zip-Zap. I have joined party in progress on. Mm-hmm. We should probably get back to a place where we're all there again, so I can actually see if everyone is in the low-level gear. Do they look so similar? But yeah, imagine if you just... Wait, if you're alone, you just spam Q. While, like, you Q and gear like this, and then, like, the moment it pops, I guess, you switch back. You can even Q and then just switch back, I believe. By the way, team, the reason why I'm saying we should meet up again and then I stay in the Phantom Village is because we're one duty away from having to talk with Gerald. So it would make sense that we meet here. Actually, while you figure that out, I'll be right back. Genius planning, right? In the meantime, sanity restored. Right, I'm back. Aradil, to your question, all Around the Bond leveling duties don't have an item melt requirement. Hey Shaq, hope you're doing well. You with only 3 people, that could also be a way to do it. Also, hey, Mr. Crowdy, hope you're doing well. That's what we're trying to figure out. That's what we're trying to figure out. You see, here, we're clearly all very, very not equipped for a high-level dungeon. So we will see whether that changes anything. It is partly knowledge and partly testing. That is amazingly on the nose. I feel like... what do you think, Ivis? Do you feel like that's proof enough? That while you did test extensively, you got trolled by Squeenix RNG? I'm not saying that, you're wrong. I'm saying we were all duped. We all were wearing basically nothing, and we landed exactly in Dusk Vigil. I mean, all things considered, in terms of optimization of doing this, it doesn't change much. Leveling roulette is probably still the best. It's just that it is even more chaotic than we had initially anticipated. Again, the main reason is that you could like just win the lottery and land in Ifrit normal. You could do that. You could also just not. But the big one, I think, is both that you could hypothetically land in something like Ifrit normal. That's where the big money is. That could happen. Yeah, exactly. Just be lucky, Fivehead. And the only other competing options is if you can run expert roulette extremely fast, then that's like possibly like second best, I think. But the problem is that it's a pretty distant second best because leveling gives 20 and expert roulette gives 15. And yeah, actually, Falca and others, it's an emotional support sprout. That's actually what you do. What you do is you convince a sprout that is legitimately below level 50 to spam dungeons with you. Oh yeah, we should not have been standing so close for that. It's that one is the shared. But yeah, that would be the Giga Brain, is if you can get someone that has a low-level job. Especially if you can get someone that has a low-level job that happens to be one of the good ones. So... But for instance, any ranged physical, really. But not Dancer. Like, the Dancer in your lineup can't really be the one. But anyone else could be. Actually, the Gunbreaker can't either, but you could have a tank. It doesn't necessarily have to be Gunbreaker. It's... I would say Gunbreaker is more like if you can choose any... So, a way we could do it is... Sip mentioned he has a level 29 Dragoon. So, that would be a way we could cheese it. So, we could just use this opportunity to level Sip's Dragoon. Well, I guess it's a Lancer, actually. Which actually is extra cursed, because that means that Sip might have some job quest he's missing. And then the question becomes... Is it better to carry a Lancer Dragoon through leveling roulette? Or is it better to just do what you... like, deal with what you're given? Isn't Dance unlocked at 70? It's unlocked at 60. That's again the problem. Anything that starts above 50 is kind of nope. Even something that starts at 50 might not be perfect. And yeah, that's also true, Bread Bean. If you have a legitimately low-level job, like if you could get someone who's actually like around level 20... You could use limited leveling, and if they only have... Like, if they don't have any of the optional stuff yet, hypothetically, then you could get in a situation where the only options are Ifrit Normal and, I don't know, Tamtara Deepcroft. And suddenly you have a 50% chance of getting Ifrit Normal. That is true, Bobblers. Your emotional support sprout would need to have possibly multiple jobs to level, because they will probably, before you finish the grind, move past level 50. Actually, you might be motivated to not use limited leveling to make sure that there's a random chance that you get the even lower level stuff. Specifically, so that the Sprout doesn't get as much XP. Now, wouldn't that be cursed? Imagine, you know, I think maybe it's for the best that the grind isn't any longer than it is. Because if it was longer, we would quickly get put in a situation where we would be motivated, like players might be motivated to actually do that. Like, actually, unironically, try to foster some sprouts. You got any sprouts? Got any more of them sprouts, guys? You don't happen to have any more sprouts. Yeah, this is indeed about the relic step, Yannick. We've determined that one thing's for certain. Having a full pre-made, all equipped in garbage equipment does not actually prevent you from getting higher level duties. It might work if you're not a full pre-made. We haven't tested that yet. But what will work 100% of the time is if you have a player in your party that legitimately can't get a higher level duty. Because they're legitimately low level. time to get orogenics 3 times in a row. Ooh, boy. The Ifrit locked to level cap challenge run. Azazel Dragon, hope you're doing well. Make a new character. See, again, the trick there is that thankfully the grind is short enough that it can't possibly be worth it to have 2 players, like, take turns grinding it just to make it faster. Although, someone might be able to make some bank with an ult like that. We're counting the tomes you get from the bosses in Dawntrail dungeons. I don't think the low-level dungeons give those for each boss, do they? What do you mean, Momoka? The thing is, you don't need tomes until you finish the paste grind. So if you have no tomes right now, you don't really need to worry about getting tomes until you're at, like, I don't know, maybe 300 on the last part. But you're right, spamming leveling roulette does not give you very many tomestones. That is an advantage that expert roulette has. That if you don't have the tomes on hand, then you might want to do the last bit of the grind in expert roulette. And yet, I agree, Yannick, the biggest motivation for me to do this grind is more to see how fast it can be done. Like, I'm interested in the research, in figuring out what the fastest way is. That's my perspective on it. And also, I mean, if I could be put in a position where I can spend my mathematics on upgrading relics, that would be nice. Light God says, what is expert roulette? When you hit max level and have done the most recent dungeon in the game, you will have access to expert roulette, which is the 2 most recent dungeons as a daily. Now we all have to talk with Gerald. Let's see what he says now. Got that crystal paste for me, lass? I'll need plenty to remake the vessel. Yes, I do. Clay containing a specific proportion of pulverized crystal. According to Master Weaponsmith Gerald, this substance helps improve the bond between Voids and their worldly vessels. Knew I could count on you. I'll get started right away. And also, true, Jeff, if you're still farming the previous relic steps, like you're still upgrading weapons from the previous steps, just spam expert roulette. If you can use the tomestones for something, I'll just work this crystal paste into the clay, and there. Wow. Now you have 2 eyes, arms, legs, and huge ears and a tail. Fresh pair of hands and feet, just like you wanted. Reckon you can use a little more of your power now? I do feel more limber. But my mind is lacking. Well, if I may be frank, this Voidsent form does not strike me as one possessed of a great intellect. I have more than this. Smarter, statelier. A new set of limbs not quite enough, eh? Just you wait. I'll craft a cracking new vessel. Brains, brawn, the whole bleeding lot. Obviously, that calls for more crystal paste. It's cracking stuff, but you can't rework it, so I'll need enough to make the new limbs and the basic structure again. 200 portions ought to do it. He cast despair on himself. Has everyone gotten to the second step? So much powder! like an Italian. Eat your pace to grow big and smart. So I have an idea that a double-ranged physical is amazingly good if we land in a low-level duty, but if we land in a high-level duty, double-ranged physical is not the fastest. So I would suggest me switching to something like Viper that scales better across the board. That does mean that Ardell can play whatever ranged physical. Actually, let me just clean up this mess. Yeah, the problem... Exactly, Yannick. And even if you land in a duty where Viper does not have AoE, it does very good single... Like, insanely good at single target damage. So I'm going to suggest we do it like this. And then we just keep spamming. And considering that we've been determined that the game is just going to give us a random duty, we just continue. How about Reaper? Isn't it stupidly strong at low levels? It is also very strong. It's just that the Death's design is a little awkward when you're running from pack to pack. But both Viper and Reaper are really good. Just last check. I don't know if you absolutely need to have the next step for it to work, but I need to be sure. Dev's design. Well, here we go. Let's see if we let's roll. Let's spin the wheel. No, what I'm saying is, I wonder if they would give you paste if you have over 100 already. Zoom all. Zoom all. Yep. Oh. Stands. I have the most epic rotation, guys. Are you ready for this? Did you just explode one of those pollen clusters by yelling at it? Hey! That this also does make for slightly more interesting content to do, I will say. But it is impressive that Milo and Ivis' team got so Squeenix RNG'd for so long. We can ignore the ads, by the way. I wasn't looking if anyone was attacking the ads. I was just random musings. The boss gets a small damage increase per ad it eats, but that's it. Yeah, I'm also surprised that it didn't work out that way, Ivis, but I can see why it wasn't actually working after all. Oh well. Again, this is exactly why I started the stream explaining what the strategy we had learned was, and then we just went and tested it. By testing it for hours on stream, the probability that we would also get Squeenix RNG to just go, yep, it works, is small. Dragon! Here he comes from behind! They came from behind! Hey Silver! Hope you're doing well. The old Worm's voice line. Yeah, the funny thing is, I remember it from Warcraft. They came from behind! The gyrocopters. Approaching the sound barrier! Ah. Oh, that's awesome, Seraph. Freaking slowness. Nox with the with the gems in the party chat. Ooh. Ooh. A stack marker. Oh. Ow. Oh. Ooh, a stack marker. Ow. Ooh, a spread marker. Ooh. Boink. Ooh. A spread marker. Exactly, Momoka. Back in my day, you had to actually remember which one did what. Back in my day, you died to untelegraphed mechanics, and you liked it. Basically, yes, Ildenis. The idea behind trying to force low-level duties is that low-level duties are shorter. Especially Ifrit normal. Like, especially Ifrit normal. It's like under a minute. Hey, Omnis. Hope you're doing well. But the thing is, Sylvanas, that if it is not possible to force low-level duties, then the second best thing is still, like, the best thing is leveling roulettes where you only get a Realm Reborn duties, especially Ifrit normal. The second best thing is leveling roulettes anyway. Because they give enough points that they're optimal, and you still have the chance of getting Ifrit normal. It's just very unlikely, but it is still optimal. And then in third place, you have, you know, Expert Roulette. I guess actually level cap would be better, because some of those dungeons are, like, would be slightly faster. But then also maybe not, because I believe Alexandria is a little slower, relatively speaking. Nice. Yeah, you know, that is also why, like, it seems like the actual optimal strategy would be to find someone who actually needs some jobs leveled and just queue leveling roulette with them. That is like the surefire method. And then it's perfect if they happen to need to level one of the, like, some of the jobs that are really good in low level duties. Like, that's where you've hit, like, perfection. The second best option there then is if you queue alone, then there's more space for other players to not be high level, just among strangers. Next up, Dusk Vigil again. Tank stance. Tank stance. Tank stance. Oh, you got it. Don't forget to verbalize SE1 when asking for tank stance. Me hitting those bongos really loudly. Boom, 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 boom. The danger bongos.
Ding, 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 ding.
Does it only work with dungeons and not normal raids? Specific duties are on the menu. There is a whole list. Unfortunately, I can't open it while I'm stunned. Like a whole menu here. You could spam the current rate tier if you wanted to. But they give 8 points each. And while they don't take as long as an expert roulette, probably, expert roulettes give twice as many points. So it would only be helpful if a normal raid took one of those raids specifically, notably, you know, Vamp Fatale to Lindworm. If they took half as long as an expert roulette, then we'd have something to talk about. It still wouldn't be good enough because they'd have to be like closer to like 40% of the length of your average leveling roulette for it to actually be better than just spamming leveling roulette. Worth it if you're also farming Orchestrions? Yeah. Like, this is something that is important to take note of when doing farms like this, where they give you options. If the only thing you're interested in is finishing the particular objective that they put forth, i.e. the relic grind, then you need to figure out what the most efficient thing is to finish the relic grind. If any of the things offered as options are things you were going to do anyway, then just do that. Like, for instance, Yannick might be completely indifferent towards the possibility of grinding this in some way, because Yannick could just go, oh, I'll just do some solo Pilgrim's Traverse. Like, shrug, whatever, right? Someone who's in the business of grinding the Orchestrion rolls on the current rate tier might just go, oh, I'll just do that. If you're not in a hurry to get it, which you definitely might not be, then you can just do whatever you feel. Like, on the menu, you can just do any of the things. I would say that it'll probably take a long time if, like, a Savage Raider goes, I'll just get it done as I do my Savagery clears. But then again, on the other hand, if you're still playing, you'd probably, like, maybe do, like, Expert Roulette or something for weekly tomestones or something. And they will contribute a significant amount as well. So maybe it's not so bad. But yeah, that is the really important bit, is if you're farming something and the game gives you options, then don't do the fastest, most efficient thing for that if the other options actually are on something you'd be interested in doing. The main reason why we're farming it like this on this stream is because, well, this stream is focused on doing this. We're trying to test. Like, the main thing we were doing was testing this specific strategy for leveling roulette, and we found the data that we needed. The only way to make it as optimal as, oh boy, as possible, with guarantee is if you're in party with a low-level player. Otherwise, you can't be sure. Yeah, exactly, DPS. Essentially, if you're doing anything on the menu for this step anyway, then that is very, very convenient. But then there's also the benefit that I mean I run daily roulettes with Civ, Ardal, and Nox very regularly, and that's fun. So for me, it's just hey, we get to do a whole bunch of random dungeons that we haven't done in a while, perhaps, and that's good for me. Yeah, exactly. Nox says, or you get Dusk Vigil twice. Just record scratch moment. What are the chances of that? We click leveling roulette. Almost any duty in the game is available to us, and the game goes, nah, you get Dusk Vigil again. I'll say Regal Star. Hope you're doing well. And that's also something to be said, that if you were to do this optimization of, you know, grabbing a person who actually needs a job leveled, if they're, you know, interested in leveling that job and they're not just doing it for the sake of it, then you're still, you know, working together for something. Like, it's not too, like, it's not wasted. There's 40 duties in leveling roulette. 15 of them is AR. So I guess if it's truly random, it's 37.5% chance of getting an AR duty. I guess so. Meanwhile, we've gotten 3 Heavensward duties almost in a row. Or is it literally in a row? No, I can't remember. Limit break! Bam! Bam! Take this! I replace my two swords with that very big sword. Hey, paste! I guess that's also some value in, as others mentioned. This is like if you're interested. If you're interested in gearing up, then you'd probably already have the resources to... Oh, Don Meg! Now we're finally going somewhere random. If you're interested in getting gear fast, you'd already be able to get a 780 weapon this week. So... So most players would probably be fine with, you know, taking their time a little bit with this. It's just a matter of you could. I say Lotus. Hope you're doing well. A dead man says, why is the merchant item more expensive than the market than the merchant selling price on the market board? Basically, it's as Lotus put it, it's the lazy tax. Let's just say that when I checked earlier, it was selling for 400,000 more than its actual merchant price or vendor price. So, piece of advice, remember to read the text when you pick up a quest like this, because they straight up tell you there's probably a merchant in Tuliolal that can sell you the thing. Reading 14 players, yada yada. Oh yeah, you're right. It must be Savage Raiders that bought it from the market board. Something something memes. Y'all can read. Take this! For this devil mint, I give to you Vicewinder combo that is like slightly better than my regular filler. Like slightly better. Hey, come on. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, basically, step 3 starts similar to step 2 with you needing an item bought from a merchant and then some crafted items. And then you collect paste. You get this item that lets you see what things give paste. And I think Selly shared a like a little image of a spreadsheet that explains how much paste you get from different duties, and leveling roulette is the best one, as far as we can determine, which is why we're just spamming leveling roulette. Losing precious paste hours. No, Panda. You're saying you're working overtime? You're getting like extra paste hours because you're getting pasted at work. Which is arguably not as good. That's not what you want. Overworked and underpasted. But yeah, let me put it like this, Gamora. If the only thing you did for this relic step was spam leveling roulettes, then you'd have to do 60 leveling roulettes. But if you mix it up with some stuff, then you can do other things. Like then it'll take longer. But it doesn't have to be 60 leveling roulettes. Thankfully, it doesn't have to be 60 leveling roulettes. Ugh. But it is one of those kinds of steps where, like, it's not quite a light farm, but it's close enough. You can do expert roulette, you can do level cap, you can do leveling roulette, you can do Doom Train Extreme, you can do the current normal raid tier, and you can do the current savage raid tier, and you can do fates, you can do deep dungeons, Pilgrim's Traverse. You can do Occult Crescent, of course. Like, you have a lot of options. So it's not too bad. Like, it's not quite, but it's pretty close to like a... it's pretty close to a Dawntrail version of a light farm. Maybe this relic is to counter the poor sprouts and their long queue times. Actually, come to think of it, on the last step, the 4 things you could do to progress on that relic step, you had Alliance Raid, Normal Raid, Trials, and a 4th thing, right? What was the 4th thing? High-level dungeons. Oh! So basically, they made it such that this step does not cover those 4 things. That's pretty interesting. Like, they don't cover them exactly. Because you can't use normal raid roulette, for instance. I just saw we have Limit Break. I'm thinking it probably makes more sense to use a ranged Limit Break on the big AoE pull in a bit. So step 4 will be the guild test roulettes. That would be hilariously fantastic. Could you imagine? For the final step, they just have you spam guild tests. It's only under the armor. You have to specifically queue for under the armor. Or alternatively, you have to do guild tests, but it turns out under the armor is the best one. And lave quests. Hey, Yadra. Hope you're doing well. Mental roulette would be absolutely unplayable. It would definitely be boring. Some might say it would be the ultimate time to do mental roulette, depending on how you view guild tests in mental roulette. Oh, whoops. You know, I hadn't considered that this particular pull would overlap with a 2-minute burst on account of me not having one. If I'd considered that, it would probably have made more sense to just send the LB on the last boss. Bachman Extreme. Oh, that would be funny. I do want to remind you all that Ham tested this and found that basically every job in the game can solo Bachman synced without even dealing with the ads. Some jobs will find it easier to do if they deal with the ads, but he specifically tested and found that no job has to actually acknowledge the ads are there. That's about as good as my burst could possibly be. 2 full Vice Winder combos and a filler combo finisher with Death Rattle in the Devilment. I don't think I could have done it any better at this level. Ham says, I think Sage might have some trouble with it. That is a good point. My Shade of Fear Cthulhian? Shouldn't it be something people actually fear, like Construct 7 or Death Gaze? Do you think WoW players fear? Oh, sorry. That's a different Shade of Fear. You know, I read that message thinking one thing, then I read what I'm actually fighting. I was like, oh yeah, that's also a Shade of Fear. There's a Shade of Fear in WoW. It's a boss. You make a good point. I think what's really, really ominous about this boss is that this boss appears basically as is in a later dungeon in Shadowbringers. But it's an optional dungeon, I believe. Which one is Bachman? That's under the armor. The hardest boss in Shadowbringers. A narrow path. No! My only weakness. Hey, paste. Yeah, exactly, Daiki. Daiki board. Think this paste is edible? Don't eat it. We're eat taco emote. Hey Stormex, hope you're doing well. I'll be right back. And then we'll continue. In the meantime, Manatee restored. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, that is true. Viper is funny in low level content. As I said earlier, I think I would play Black Mage, but admittedly, Black Mage is kind of bad in like A Realm Reborn dungeons. Like in terms of actual gameplay at level 35 and above, I'm good. I can make it work. But Black Mage is not very strong until like they need at least Flare. Then it starts to work. But if the whole point is that they need, or that we need to run fast, then, you know, it doesn't really work. So I'll pick a job that is strong regardless of what duty we get. Also AoE on a 3+ second cast. Yeah, exactly. Like in low levels, Black Mage just is not compatible with moving AoE. Like, to be fair, once you have Astral Fire 4, oh sorry, Astral Fire 4, Astral Fire 3, Vanguard again, by the way. Sip stance. Stand sip. Once you get Astral Fire 3, I believe Fire 2 is strong enough to just barely be like about as strong as, like, I don't know, Dancer's AoE combo at low levels. Now the problem with that is, of course, that Dancer has more than that. So it's a little bit like how Yannick mentioned, Viper's filler AoE rotation at level 60 is comparable in potency. Their filler AoE rotation has comparable potency to an Astrologian's single target potency when you account for things like maim and mend and everything. With all damage bonuses considered, Viper can do just as much AoE damage with their filler. They don't have anything else other than filler, but that's a very good filler. They can match an Astrologian trying their hardest on single target. This Thunder Slander is insane. I mean, Thunder 2 is good, but you only really get one of those per like 18 seconds. It's not really worth it once you already have the dot, and it's not that good. As I answer, hope you're doing well. How dare you point out the flaws of a job at a specific level range. And it's specifically worth mentioning its flaws in Black Mage, which is a job I love very much. So it's not like I'm here like just bashing a job that I'm like not playing anyway or something. Meep, meep, meow. It is worth mentioning that in those levels where you may be hit, like where you have trouble with slow casts as a Black Mage, just sending a Thunder because it's your best option on a while moving isn't too bad. The problem again is mostly that like Black Mage is all right. I think the real problem is that there are some jobs that are just way better. Like that's where the real problem lies. That if you're choosing a job for a low level dungeon, for example, why would you choose Black Mage? Is essentially what the problem boils down to. Fourth Khan in a row. You have Agent Monica, right? With the low-level Astrologian. The Relic step is basically a type of light farming answer. Except we're farming paste instead. Ronan. But if you keep pointing out the flaws in Black Mage, I'll have to cast Scathe on you, which I know doesn't sound very threatening, but I assure you I'm quite furious. Oh, I'm sure. But it is one of those things where, like, basically, Ronan, I'm essentially saying if Black Mage was better in low-level content, you wouldn't be watching me play Viper right now. That's where we're at, essentially. So when I give that, when I do point out those flaws, it's essentially me saying, if only this was better, because then I'd be playing that instead. Kai when he has to play Black Mage. Oh no. You can still collect paste even though you've already reached the maximum. That's good to know as well. Which, a case in point, when we're getting these duties that happen to be in level ranges where I could absolutely have played Black Mage, I'm like, man. I'm doing the Pro ZD skit. I could be playing Black Mage right now. The moment you go Black Mage, it'll be an AR dungeon. Yeah, exactly. The moment I go Black Mage, that will be exactly when we get Sastasha again. Black Mage does have a different rotation every 10 levels. No, I mean, not exactly to that extreme. That is like an exaggerated thing that people have always perpetuated. It's not quite like that, but also Brontome. Remember that it's me. I obviously know the optimal rotation at every single one of those level increments. So that wouldn't matter for me. The problem is that I would land at the level and go, oh man, the optimal rotation at this level sucks. Nice try, mix. Oh man, I could be playing Black Mage right now. I even know like super random optimal rotations, like Black Mage's optimal attack rotation at level 35 to 41 involves spamming Fire 3. Really weird, obscure stuff like that. What's optimal at Sastasha but isn't in Copperbell? Yeah, well, those are fortunately in a level range where it's the same rotation. So that is really what it comes down to, is that Black Mage is weak enough in low level where it's like, even if you know the correct answer, it doesn't matter. It's a better job. That's the correct answer. And see, the thing is, Norton, that the weird jank that Black Mage is dealing with has not been nerfed at low level. In fact, the reason why at the level 35 to 41 rotation for Black Mage exists is because Fire 3 received like a very, very small buff at some point in Dawntrail. Yes, that makes the difference. So there are exceptions to this. Wee, wee, wee. I know what you mean, Norton, but let's just say that we've talked about these topics up and down for so long on this channel that I'm just like, yeah. In fact, I have a regular that laments the changes of Summoner daily. Daily. And the regulars here knows exactly who I'm talking about without even mentioning them. Yeah, that is true. It's perfectly fine to lament what was changed. If you liked it better the old way, or if you missed something. Oh, whoops. My positionals. Yeah, point being, it's perfectly allowed. But that is the reason why I might sometimes just be like, meh, on such a topic, is because it comes up very frequently. Which, of course, by the way, makes a lot of sense that a topic like that would come up more frequently, considering a recent video I put out. Weird that I then complain about that. Wouldn't that be strange? Hey, more paste. So much powder! Is it worth fishing for Firestarter procs below level 90? No. It would be worth it if you're put in a position where the damage is irrelevant. Like if you're attacking a mob that is already at 1 HP and they're just like refusing to die, then you could cast Fire 1 to fish for a Firestarter proc. To like start the next fight with an, you know, an AF1 F3P. Stands. But that's like a really, 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 really rare situation. Guys, you got any burst cooldowns? What are that? What's that? What's a cooldown? What do you mean? You mean the thing on True North? Is that what that's called? Oh, I see. Interesting. I wonder why they didn't put any of that on Viper. Like a special thing for your job? No, all other jobs have them? Oh, Weird. Did they just decide Viper doesn't get any? Got him. Epic rotation. Whee! That is difficult. That is a good point, Necrophits. That is also something that I found very difficult, is that whenever I've talked about, like, some jobs need a little change in their leveling experience, Viper is really difficult, because the thing is, there is a very, very, very good point that you could help Viper a lot by moving some actions further down on the levels. But considering the amount of actions Viper learns, that comes at a huge cost elsewhere. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you could go, yeah, you have Death Rattle at level 50. But then, what are you moving up? Do you sacrifice so that at level 50 you don't have your full AoE filler? That sounds more cursed, to be honest. And there could be an argument that no, they should just get more stuff from level 1 to 50, and that's also fair, but the sheer quantity of stuff they get up to level 80 leaves very little room. Like, do you move something from level 82 to 80? Then you have like a very barren leveling experience when you actually unlock the job. Not that that needs to be super filled, but it would come at a cost. You got an Ifrit? Oh, nice. I'm bursting as hard as I can. Rah! You're not doing anything more than you were before. I know! There is something to be said that thanks to those somewhat recent damage changes for Viper, where they moved AoE to its filler, makes Viper completely insane on AoE in this level range. Like, absolutely insane. As I said, it's doing approximately the same DPS AoE as an Astrologian is capable of on single target. I know it's you're doing healer damage on AoE, but healer damage, like healer single target damage on AoE is still a lot. Oh boy. Woo. Nice uptime. Yeah. Yeah. That would actually be pretty nice if you could set it so that you could choose a job based on what level duty you got. Or, here's an idea. Imagine if you could just choose what job you want to play as long as, like, no one has pulled yet in a dungeon. That would be nice. That could work. Just for a few seconds, there's like the circle stays, and if you exit the circle, it's like, okay, well now you've chosen. That could possibly make some jobs that are like really bad in certain level ranges be more represented. Just in the level ranges where they're good. Because people that are like, well, I don't want to play that job because it sucks if I get this particular duty level range. They can just, you know, change their mind if they get the wrong level range. Exactly, role locked as opposed to job locked. And also, speaking of which, I think I've suggested this before, but it would be nice if you could just, like, if you could, for instance, just pick a job for each role, so you could queue as all 3 roles at once, if you feel like playing all 3 roles. Because there are definitely players that when they queue alone, they're picking a job to play the role that they think is the most likely to result in the queue actually popping. But they don't actually care what they're going to play. Exactly, a sort of filler queue. Basically, that would be better mental roulette. And that's the trick, Caitlin, is that it would be something where you just can choose. You could just be like, well, I don't mind playing all roles, so I'll just, if you need a tank, I'll play this. If you need a healer, I'll play this. And choose red mage, and red mage. Well, you know, Ronan the red, that comes as an incredible surprise. No one could have seen it coming. Shocks! Yes, it was I. My machinations laid undetected for years, for I am a master of deception. Indeed, Ronan. Why did all the churns spawn far away from me specifically? I don't feel like I deserve that. Car! She sprayed water on my toes. Sword! Sword! Paste! We cut her into paste. We cut her into takoyaki, yeah. That enemy got the point of the huge braver sword. And Malika as well. Oh. Well, well, well. If I recall correctly, this is the extremely awkward level range where only Vicewinder has the follow-ups. Doesn't really change anything. It's just weird. Yeah, I at least I have a cooldown now. Oh man, the guys they implemented it. Now my job has cooldowns too. Or sorry, cooldown. What do you mean I'm supposed to have multiple? So it's my big cooldown, right? It does like slightly more damage. What do you mean you do way more damage during your cooldowns? Surely you don't get several. It's really slow for some reason. They'll add another cooldown with your defensive. Ah, yeah. Yeah. What's a defensive? What are those? Dynamis privilege and getting only AR dungeons. Oh, nice. Ow. What's wrong with having blank spots, Strymix? Exodius, is there any benefit for doing a variety of content on this grind, or is it just going to be doing the most efficient repeatedly? The main benefit to doing a variety of content is that if you just spam one thing, like, most of the things that they're asking you to do are things you might do anyway. So by choosing to do just one thing, like just only doing the most efficient thing, you're doing the most efficient thing for progressing this particular quest. Whereas if, for instance, you spammed expert roulettes instead, you would get tomes. If you did your normal raid re-clears or your savage raid re-clears, actually, you would be doing those. If you want to do Pilgrim's Traverse, you could do that and progress it. You could do Occult Crescent, you could progress on while still progressing this quest. Like, you have a lot of options. It's just that if the only thing you care about is progressing this quest, then there's no reason to do anything other than just spam leveling roulette. That's really it. The National Soup. Hope you're doing well. Big fan of the relic step just being do literally anything. I do find it funny that if we look at the roulette list for this specific step, it has conveniently skipped the roulettes that the last step included. It hasn't fully, because it's offering certain normal raids as an option. But it's funny that there is a specific difference there. But I do think this step especially is a lot closer to a modernized version of a light farm. In the AR and Heavensward days, they kind of just told you, go out and do stuff, I guess, and then it'll progress you by an amount, question mark. Now they're saying do these things, and then they tell you exactly how far you are. What makes this more of a light farm compared to the last Dawntrail step? Because the last Dawntrail step said do exactly these 4 things to progress exactly these 4 bars, whereas the a light farm is usually do any of these many things. They will all progress the same thing. That's where the difference lies. Uh-oh. Ow. My hubris. What are relics for? They're weapons. It's gear. Usually throughout an expansion, once relics enter the scene, which they usually do sometime in the second raid tier, they start with an item level that is competitive with the current the at the moment available extreme trial. And that would of course be on an usually on an even numbered patch where raid tier has just been released. That doesn't make the relics very good at that moment, because by the time the relics enter the scene, most players will have had better options. This is also what's happening right now. On the odd patch, the relic weapon then upgrades to an item level that is only marginally lower than the current savage raid weapons. So they're usually the second best weapon you can get for most jobs. On the odd patches, once the relics get their upgrade. But specifically the final upgrade, which comes, you know, late in the final patch of an expansion, or not late, but like a while into the final patch of an expansion, they become the best weapon you can have. As in, straight up, they are the best weapon. They have the most secondary stats, and they're just as strong weapon damage-wise as Savage weapons. So, it's usually not bad to invest your time in getting them. They're also essentially a cheap way to get some solid weapons for your alt jobs, if you care to do the grind. These packs are always awkward. I'm not entirely sure if this makes more sense, but I'll fight this guy. I've chosen that I'll fight this guy specifically. And yeah, also relic weapons also just give you a reason to do stuff. The quests give you some random objectives. And specifically in Dawntrail, once you've done those objectives, they give you something to spend tomestones on. Which again gives you reason to do content. I think it hit my nose. Ding dong dang derp. Oh, a raid wide. Oh, look, Feint is ready again. Convenient. I think it's donut time. It's donut time. I will free us from the wheel. Just ask Stork here. Stork knows how to break the wheel. Just, there you go. Weirdly, it does it by summoning donuts. I'm not quite sure how that helps with breaking the wheel. could summon... You know, that would be an amazing power to have. Just being able to summon donuts. Oh. Huh. Well... That will certainly be a bit more of a grind than I had initially expected. Donut Mancer. We managed to collect 220 paste in like 2.5 hours. Hey Faust, hope you're doing well. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. That's wild. Thank you so much. Just kicks in the door. Memberships. The do's and do not donuts. Yeah, the big part of this. So just to like round up a little bit. I mean, that's a good point, Faust. Amazing. To round up a bit on this relic grind. Wow. Thank you so much, Ram, for the 5 gifted subs. Just on top of that, thank you so much, Ram. For the gifted subs. I'm getting ganked from 2 sides at once. Thank you. That's amazing. I will try once again to get on to my to my attempt to summarize what we had found out. Means a lot. Thank you so much. So, to summarize on this particular relic step, you have a bunch of options. And the absolute most efficient method for farming paste is to spam leveling roulette. It's the absolute most effective if you can rope someone that has a low-level job into it. It's particularly convenient if if they have like, I don't know, like a bard or an astrologian. Any tank that's like any tank that isn't Gunbreaker, if they need to level that, pretty solid. Honestly, any healer will do, but astrologian is particularly preferred. Machinist could be great. The whole idea being you want to get low-level dungeons. The less options that there are when you're queuing leveling roulette, the more your chance of getting Ifrit normal is, which is the fastest duty in leveling roulette. Hypothetically, if you could choose which duty you wanted, then you could spam Ifrit, and each run takes like a minute, maybe a minute and a half if you account for like variance and variance and the fact you have to load out and in again. But if it's a minute and a half, you need to do 60 runs. So like, if you could do that, it would take 90 minutes. You can't do that though, so you have to settle. And that's the best you can do, is have someone in your party that has a job they need to level in the level range of like a Realm Reborn dungeons. That is the optimal strat. The second best strat is just do leveling roulettes anyways. So you're not like, it's not that bad. Like, your best option is still leveling roulette. if you don't have like a convenient emotional support sprout. The third best option is, from what I can tell, expert and level cap dungeons. Sincerely Unique says Ice Level 1 party member 2, I suppose. That would be great, Sincerely Unique, but we actually tested that. It doesn't work. We actually had the whole party in, like, basically at Ice Level 0, and we landed in Vanguard. So it would be great, but it turns out that that doesn't work. Thank you, Ceros. 3 out of 4 works. That's a good point. If you're alone or up to 3 players, maybe just basically being item level 1 can force you into lower level dungeons. Canyon says it also says it works if you're not a full light party, like a whole light party. In that case, option 1, full light party, but someone has to be legitimately low level. Second option, don't be a full light party. Thank you so much for the cheer, Ilana. Wow. That is an interesting reward from the train. I will trust that you said it first, Ceres. We got higher levels where you guys are normal light party. When we got higher level dungeons, we were all equipped during our testing. We were exclusively 1 to 3. Yeah, that would do it then. Yeah, we were only normal, like a full light party. I was not informed of that detail, Milo, so I assumed you were a 4-man. Oh, that's a good point. Maybe it's because we were an actual normal light party. Huh. I guess more testing required. But yeah, priority 1 is being able to force low-level dungeons. That's priority 1. Priority 2, or option 2, is if you can't do that, then leveling roulette is still best. And option 3 is expert roulette and level cap. And then, when you get to option 4, we start to get stuff like, I guess, stuff like this. But there is something to be said. If you can beat, like, Van Fatale in, like, 8 minutes, which I think you can if you have, like, a specialized party. If you have a pre-made that has 1 healer, so you have an extra DPS, you might be able to do this fast enough that this is competitive with expert roulette and level cap dungeons. But it is worth mentioning that it is possible to beat expert roulette dungeons in under 12 minutes. I don't know if anyone can do it, but it is possible to do, which is relevant information. However, all that aside, and this is something that I also mentioned earlier, if you were going to do any of these things anyways, then the particular tasks you were going to do anyway, you can essentially act like they take 0 seconds to do, because you were going to do them anyway. So for instance, if you were interested in climbing Pilgrim's Traverse and haven't gotten around to it yet, it would be a really convenient time to start on that now, because as long as you progress, you get some free paste. And if you wanted to progress Occult Crescent and haven't really gotten around to it, it's a great time to do that, because critical engagements there give you some paste. If you haven't finished Shared Fates yet, paste. And of course, if you want to farm Hell on Rails Extreme, if you haven't gotten them out yet, pretty good time to do that. And if you want to farm Orchestrion rolls from these, good time to do that. If you have already cleared this, if you're doing re-clears, there's some free there. If you're in the business of helping people getting their first clear, you get a little extra reward for that now. So on and so forth. Basically, point being that just because I just listed the most effective way to finish this quest as quickly as possible doesn't mean that it's the optimal way to do it for you. The optimal way to do this for you is space it, like, if you want to be efficient with your time in general, space it out over several days. Like, weeks even. If you're not in a hurry, then take your time. If you haven't upgraded all of the previous steps of the relic weapons yet, then, I mean, you can still spend your mathematics on that. So, like, again, no rush. And by doing it in a way where you're doing stuff you would do anyway, then it costs you nothing. It's basically just there in the background as like an extra little thing. And the tests we have done say you can spam the roulettes. Every clear gives you the reward. Just the same. But it has to be the roulette for you to get the reward. And even if you already have all the paste for the current step, you don't have to drop everything you're doing to rush over to Gerald to be like, I have the paste! You can still collect more for the next step. So that you're just further ahead when you start the next step. So, it's fine. That is my advice. Take your time. And do it in a way where you don't go insane. Yes. Is probably a good way to put it. And we got a new emote on over on the Twitch side. Is this step for each weapon? I don't know. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Falca. The first two steps of the Dawntrail relics had a relatively tedious objective. Like a pretty grindy objective, but every single time it was very clearly stated by Gerald that we were upgrading his things with the items you were farming. And then you would use some material to upgrade it, which you then bought for tombstones. In this case, on this step, the story started with us exploring ways to upgrade the weapon only for Gerald to be like, no, that wouldn't work anyway. And then the last option was like, we could upgrade your hammer. He's like, now that one, which is basically the same setup as the previous steps. So it would greatly surprise me if once we have farmed all the paste that he wants, it would surprise me if it wasn't. And then the vendors over there, you pay 1,500 tombstones per upgrade. Because it has been like that for previous steps. So it's probably like that this time too. So you just need to do this once, as far as it would be very obnoxious if you had to do this for every weapon, but I mean, 60 leveling roulettes is definitely not the most cursed thing I've heard. I'll say, Lex, hope you're doing well. We got about just past a sixth of the way. About a sixth of the way. Through the this quest. But we got some testing done. But yeah, on that note, based on what people came in with, it might be worth testing whether it matters that you don't have a healer. As in, that it matters that your light party is a non-standard light party. That might be worth testing. a second thing that I was told actually straight up just works is, so basically the test is switch to all item level 0 or 1 or so gear, and then have a non-standard party, so you can't have 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. It has to be something else. And then try and spam leveling roulette. If you don't get Heavensward and above dungeons, then that trick works. Another option, if you don't want to do that, is still item level 1 or 0-ish, but queue as 1 to 3 players. So less than a light party. You will have to actually queue, and then when your queue pops or whatever, you put on your gear again, and then you get an Realm Reborn duty. Another option is just have a 4th player that is legitimately low level. That's the galaxy brain move. It's just, if you have someone who's legit low level, then you don't even need to worry about it. We switched to having a healer, and now that Milo mentioned it, we didn't see any oddities until our party wasn't a normal light party. Or rather, we only saw oddities when our party became a normal light party, and we did that because the healing needed got scary. But that might be worth testing. But this was actually around the time that I had planned to round off. But yeah, once again, thank you so much, Faust and Ram and Ilana. Thank you so much. And to everyone, if you'd like to be part of the Discord community server, where we discuss weird things like this all day sometimes, yes we did, there's a link in the chat right there. There you'll also find the weekly schedule where you can see what else is coming up in the coming days. I usually update it Sunday or Monday. You'll also find the announcement room with links to videos and streams. And if you grab the reminder roll in the role assignments room, you'll get a notification whenever I post a video stream. So it's an extra one around 15 minutes before stream starts, and you can catch it right when we go live. We're playing Expedition 33 tomorrow again, by the way. For those that want or need the reminder for that. And then Thursday, we have Mentor Roulette for those that are sad that wasn't today. That's Thursday this week. And then, if you'd like to support the channel even more directly, you can become a member, you can subscribe, you can like, you can follow, you can super chat, you can cheer, you can do all that goodness. If you don't like any of that, there's also the Ko-Fi link that Ardell posted right there in the chat. It all helps support me and the channel directly, so I can focus on doing stuff like this with all of you. So thank you so much for the support. But that'll be it from me tonight. So good night, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are in the world, and hope to see you all very soon. Over on Twitch, we will see if we can raid someone. But that said, bye-bye.